Okay, that's not the video.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
What up, Chicago? This is Dustin Jones with Chicago Sports Podcast. I represent 4-Star Chicago Sports Podcast. I got Brandon Duplessis with me from 4-Star Chicago Sports, also repping CSP. Darius with us. How you doing, guys?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Another
What's going on,
beautiful
Dustin?
day.
What's going on, Darius?
I just completely confused the outro video with the intro video multiple times, so that was a funny little story there. That's all right. We got it. We figured it out once we got it going there. Listen, we're here to talk Ryan Poles, guys. We got limited time. I mean, I wanted to touch on this game and how we're feeling about this Bears team in general after that. We can just start with that, guys, in a very general sense. Darius, how are you feeling about this team after watching what you watched yesterday against the 49ers?
Hey, man, it is what it is, man. Another loss on the books, unfortunately, but this was a game. This was a game. Even if the Bears were 8-4 or 8-3 at the time, this is a game I think most people picked them to lose anyway. So it went like it's supposed to go. You want a better showing, but at the end of the day, it's between a W and the L, and we caught the L.
Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the way you expect it to look after head coach is terminated. It doesn't usually, I mean, how often, guys, does it work where the interim coach turns things around or it even looks remotely better, if not just the same? But I think it does get worse from here, if I'm being honest with you, Dustin. I think this defense is no longer going to stand on their head in the red zone, and I think Thomas Brown's going to be overwhelmed with the cards already kind of stacked against him. I think this is kind of a foreshadow of what's to come.
Wow. All right. Let me just say this real quick. We got people in here. Please throw your names in the chat. Throw some comments out there. We'll address them. We'll talk about them. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. We put out great content throughout the entire week. You hit that subscribe button, you get notifications on all of that. All right. I will say this, man. I don't think the game went how it was supposed to go. Let me ask you this, and it's not to call anybody out, but Darius, did you pick the Niners or the Bears to win that game? Did you have a chance to do a pick?
Well, before the season started, we all did. We did that.
I mean, before this game.
Niners.
No.
Niners.
I picked the Niners.
Yeah.
I picked the Niners. Brandon, you picked the Bears. We did our show on the bare minimum on Thursday. I picked the Niners. You picked the Bears. And I'm not saying that to call anybody out. What I'm saying is I expected the Bears to perform a little better than they did. In the first half, it was 300 and whatever yards to 2 yards in favor of the 49ers. It was an abysmal showing. The team showed up with no life. I expected them to at least have energy and be competitive. I was very disappointed that they weren't. I'll say that flat out. I listen, I expect them to lose. They should have performed better. They should have showed up to play, and I don't think they showed up to play, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. 1,000%. It was a lack of energy because they lied to us all week. They lied to us all week saying that they're going to come out and be this and be that, and they came out flat.
Anthony Stewart says he picked the Bears by 17. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, we expected this team, especially with the Niners' woes injury-wise and that they had lost a couple in a row. We just really thought that this would be more of a coin toss game, I think.
I thought for sure that the team itself, which has been so vocal about their lack of leadership and how frustrated they've been, I thought the team would just kind of rally for at least a week, guys. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times when this new coach takes over because the old guy was so bad, he just gets a spark for at least a game.
Exactly, that new coach effect.
And they came out, some of the best, most reliable hands in the NFL came out dropping passes in this game. So, like, something didn't work in preparation here, man.
Yeah. Yep, and you saw Kyle Shanahan completely outcoach Thomas Brown, which we totally expected. I totally expected that.
Yeah,
That was a huge advantage for the Niners going
And
into this game, and it was the biggest advantage for them throughout the game. Just Kyle Shanahan calling that offense, making calls and adjustments throughout the game, and really throwing coverages at Caleb. And the defensively, they really got after Caleb, put a lot of pressure on him, and the Bears offensive line went back to looking like they had in the early weeks of this season, where the last few weeks they were doing the quick passing game. They were getting the ball out quick. The offensive line looked a lot better. They were able to run the ball. All those things just went away in this game, guys. And you do wonder if is Thomas Brown has to be in over his head, like anybody would be, you know. So is he overwhelmed? Because I feel like I would be in his situation.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I was hopeful. But you know, like I said, man, those guys lied to us all week, and
All
I'll
right.
tell them that to their face. They lied to us all week, you know. And for Thomas Brown, this being his first official game as head coach, I mean, it wasn't gonna go well, but I was hopeful.
What up, V Dog? He says pathetic ass effort yesterday. Unacceptable. I am 100% on board with that. I didn't expect them to win, but I expected them to fucking show up to play, and they did not. That was so disappointing.
And something clearly went wrong in a week of practice, guys. We know Thomas Brown did leave. I don't know if that affected anything. He left and saw his family in Carolina. We'll say this: This was his first week ever as a head coach, guys, and he can definitely fine tune his method of preparation. Right? Something didn't work. He can try to find what that might be and do better this week. Because how they came out of that game, if that happens for the rest of the season, you might fire an interim coach.
Well, this turns us to our topic for the show, guys, because we wanted to touch on the game a little bit. But we need, I mean, there's a lot of questions now. There's a lot more questions go after that game than answers, and we expected to hopefully maybe get some answers out of that game. Ryan Poles has constructed this roster. Ryan Poles decided to retain and maintain with Matt Eberflus. He decided to fire him in the middle of the season and put Thomas Brown in place. It's his roster out there. They looked like they weren't even on the same playing field as the 49ers yesterday. Is Ryan Poles on the hot seat, guys? The decisions he's made has gotten the Bears to this point. That cannot be debated. I mean, whether or not he's had luck or good luck, bad luck, or indifferent, it's his job to put this Bears team in a position to be a contending team every year. That's his job. He's not doing that right now. Is Ryan Poles on the hot seat, Darius?
In my personal opinion, though, I think putting him on the hot seat is a emotional response to a disappointing season. You know, he's done more. He's done a lot. He's done a lot of things very well for the organization, for the team. Um, you know, keeping Flus and getting the I think the thing that he did is the best thing he did was to get rid of him, but he decided to keep him. You know, at that particular point, it could have been yes or no. A lot of people saying get rid of him, but it was a few people say, hey, all right, let's roll with him. You know, because we improved so much at the QB position, but um I think, hey, give him 2 more years to see what he can do. We understand what the problems is on this team as far as on the field, and let's see how he addresses them this offseason. Now, if he chooses to continue ignoring them, then yeah, he's got 1 foot. He's actually looking at the front door. You know what I'm
Yeah, or sneaking out the back, right?
saying?
Brandon, is Poles on the hot seat?
Absolutely, 100%. I think he is. I think. I mean, what is due diligence, right? If you're the president of this organization, you're the next man up, right? I mean, guys, when well, first I want to say this: if all of these failures fell to Flus's feet, this dysfunctional season the Bears have had, obviously not reaching expectations, but even worse, just imploding. Who kept him? I mean, if the failures of your assistant manager and whatever job it is you're working, I mean, if the guy's failing consistently and you hired him, you're the next man up. That's where the eyes go. And Kevin Warren is understanding of once the eyes go past Ryan Poles,
Where are
Kevin
they
Warren's
going
talking
next?
about being on the hot seat. I don't want to be on the hot seat if I'm Kevin Warren. So I am absolutely 100% in doing my due diligence. And I believe that this is the president's job. I think the Bears should be doing this. You have to sit down and have a conversation. A, not only has he done enough, is the roster good enough to succeed, but B, do I trust this guy to hire the next head coach? So yes, he's on the hot seat, because if that question's even being asked in the building, which it should be, I believe it should be 100%, then yes, he's on the hot seat.
Brandon Tracks, Chicago Sports Podcast, says Poles is in the hot seat. Anthony Stewart says this is Poles' baby, right? So I mean, like, Poles has made some good decisions. He's made decisions that have led us to have Caleb Williams as our quarterback, right? To have a good amount of draft picks coming up in this upcoming draft, to have 2 first-round picks in this most recent draft, right? To have
$80 million.
a lot of cap room to make additions and make changes this offseason. So there's been good and there's been bad. He passed on the opportunity to draft Jalen Carter. I thought that was a huge mistake. I really did. He's passed on players in terms of how he took Nate Davis, guys. He signed Nate Davis. That was a huge misstep that they already cut bait with this season. Traded for Chase Claypool. I mean, there's good and there's bad. There's always going to be with GMs, guys. But when you see the level of play that you saw yesterday on the field, you start to question the organization and who's in charge of it. And I think it can get worse. Like Brandon said, if it gets worse as the season progresses and this Bears team continues to perform the way it performed yesterday, I think Poles should be fired, guys. I don't think it should be a question.
And I hear you, but that bullshit yesterday has nothing to do with Ryan Poles. Nothing.
It does, though. It does,
no,
though.
No. I'm finna tell you why. As players on the team, at this time of the year, yeah, you ain't playing for shit but your last name, right? And the guys that you suit up with in the locker room on a day-to-day basis. That effort out there was strictly on everybody that suited up yesterday and the guys that called the shots for them as far as the coaching staff. Because they were unprepared. They didn't come out with any energy, and you score a fucking touchdown and you're doing a fucking hula dance in the end zone that you probably practiced all week.
All right, but Poles made the choice to put Thomas Brown in charge of this team. Did he make the wrong choice?
Well, who else were you going to put there?
I mean, Aaron Washington didn't acquit himself very well yesterday.
That's what I was about to say.
Yep.
Because there's no way or no reason why George Kittle was as open as he was. I don't give a damn how good Shanahan is, man.
Yeah, it was bad. I got this question. I like it, okay? And I'll give Brandon a chance to answer it. V-Dog has it. Question for y'all. Does your perspective on Ryan Poles change, if anything, based on Diana Rossini and David Kaplan's various reporting stating that Eberflus and Poles was an arranged marriage at the jump? Brandon, we know that he was kind of told this is going to be your guy, but then he kept him when he had a chance to potentially move on from him. How do you feel about that question from V-Dog? Do you hold Poles accountable for Eberflus being the head coach of this team going into this season?
Yes, and I read similar reports, and I agree with V-Dog that it does sound very much like Ryan Poles was at least given some options. He didn't hire from an entire coaching pool, but he retained him, guys. So, it doesn't matter if Ryan Poles got a gun put to his head and said, "This is your coach." The next time around, he doubled down. And like I said, man, when it comes to due diligence, you're asking yourself, is Ryan Poles the best there can be? Is he the best out there, or can we get better at the position?
And this team should be trying to get better at every position, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they?
So I mean, that's how I think the Bears organization needs to do their due diligence top to bottom.
I have a question.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Who's to say how much Ryan Poles wanted to hire Harbaugh? You know what I mean? Harbaugh was blocked back because of the feelings of Kevin Warren. And
that's what was reported by Dan McNeil, right?
Yeah, this is before. This is like before the season started. All this came out.
But Tom Pelissero just came out and said that Jim Harbaugh had no interest in the Chicago Bears. If he was going to go to the NFL, it was going to be with the LA Chargers, and he was telling people that in September. So how does that change anything? Was Harbaugh even ever a contender for this job? Did he not consider it because of Kevin Warren being here in the first place, because of their past relationship?
Yeah, but I heard as a recent that he wanted to be here. He wanted to come in the building. But I mean,
there's conflicting reports on it. But either way, not kicking the tires on it, that's a problem. I consider that an issue.
In the same sense, mistakes aren't permanent, Darius, but we just did a show on 4 Stars talking about an hour about whether or not a guy who Poles had a chance to hire might be the best candidate for the job in Mike Vrabel. I mean, this guy was not, he's not a coach. He was an available candidate last
He's
season.
consulting
And
for the
now we're,
Browns right now.
and now we're
Yeah.
talking about him being the head coach. So that not only did Ryan Poles, like, so yeah, we could say
And
Jim
we're talking
Harbaugh
about
didn't
Cliff
get here.
Kingsbury being the head
Yeah,
coach,
we
and
could
he
say
could have
Jim
been your
Harbaugh's
offensive
not here,
coordinator.
but they're talking. I mean, it's been reported that this was one of the greatest head coaching classes in an off season, and we didn't even look.
No,
We
we were
walked
good with
past the
Eberflus.
window, and that's. I mean, you got to know, right? Poles is sinking with this decision. I mean, he's got to be killing him. That he has to think sticking with Matt Eberflus derailed this entire process. Like this was a train with a lot of steam headed in the right direction, and I screwed it up. He's got
He
so
gambled. He
yeah.
gambled, no doubt about it. He gambled
And
and
when you
lost.
gamble, you can win or you can lose.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to real quick shout out Bridges Scoreboard. Please check them out in Griffith, Indiana. I want to shout out everybody in the chat: Cliff Victoria, Jeremy Munoz, Anthony Stewart, Smooth Criminal. Guys are leaving some great comments, tracks as well. And Anthony Stewart says that was Poles doubling down,
Yeah.
keeping Eberflus. That decision could very well be the decision that breaks Ryan Poles' career. It really could. And he should have approached it as such in this past offseason. I thought it was hugely important that they assessed their coaching situation going into this past offseason, and they didn't. They said they were good with what they had. And Darius, regardless of what their intentions were, the results are what the results are. And we're seeing
True
what those
indeed.
are. And
True
Poles
indeed.
needs to be held accountable for those results because he's the decision maker. That's just the reality.
Okay, well, do you think if we had these results that we have now last year that Eberflus would still been in man?
I think we had very similar results to these last year.
Nah,
think
we won
we did.
7 games we won 7 games in a row.
No, in a row.
No, we didn't
I mean, not in a row. I'm sorry, but we ran like five, 4 or 5 games in a row at the end of the year.
Listen, man, it was a lot of fool's gold in my mind. They were weren't playing very good teams. When they played good teams, they lost. It was, and they kept losing close games. They kept losing games they should have won. They should have beat the Cleveland Browns last year, and they botched that game.
Yeah,
that's all I needed to see. You can't win the games when it's on the line. That coach is not the coach I want. I don't know how, Brandon, I feel like you felt the same way, but I think this was a huge mistake by Poles, and he's trying to make up for it. And I feel like Poles has always, throughout his entire career, gotten way too much credit for fixing the mistakes that he made, and not enough credit for the actual mistake he made in the first place that he had to fix.
Well, and we also have to point out. We also have to point out, because Kyle was talking about. Listen, Poles did the same thing, guys. That all he had to do, because he kept saying, I want this Bears team to be different. I don't want to talk about 85. I don't want to talk about the past, about the lack of quarterback play. I am changing this. Leave that in the past. And then he kept the coach while drafting the quarterback, which is the thing the Bears infamously do wrong. Always. It's like most organizations it's like hitting the reset button on the Nintendo, guys. Remember that? You hit reset and that picture would get froze on your screen. Like Matt was got printed on this organization. And when we hit the reset button, we didn't get rid of all of it. And that has been the losing recipe for this organization for the last 20 years. So that discourages me probably the most, guys. Ryan Poles saw a repetition, a trend in repetition and failing organization, and he did the same thing.
But to V-Dog's point here, he's saying that he was told he couldn't fire him based on some reporting that he wanted to move on from Eberflus, but because of the money left on the deal, that he was not allowed to by the higher ups, which is another huge problem, and will still lead to Poles being the fall guy. That will still lead to Poles being the fall guy. Will it not?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, yeah. But if your hands are tied, you got to do what you're told.
Let me ask you this too, man. If let's say that Matt Eberflus is fired in the offseason, they bring in a new coach, and that coach comes in, he doesn't get the success in the first 12 weeks before Flus was fired. He doesn't get the same success. Here he just, it's a bad start, a bad 12-week start. He's probably not getting fired this year because he's the new head coach of football. You know what I mean? Like there was only one way
you have continuity going into the next year, regardless.
You have at least the guy needs a fair shot. Let's give him another season with he had a rookie, but like Matt Eberflus, it was only going to go one direction, really, wasn't it? I mean,
I
if
mean,
this thing didn't turn into something special quickly, it obviously meant Flus was the wrong guy for the job.
guys,
I
we've talked a lot about Matt Eberflus and was it the right decision? Clearly, it wasn't to keep him, and Poles will regret that decision. Whether or not he was forced to make it, or whether or not it was his choice to make it, that will be a regret on his resume and in his career. Now, here's the thing: Poles, they backed him. They said he's the GM. He's the guy who will be making the decision for our next head coach. So now the most crucial question in Chicago Bears for the Chicago Bears franchise and for us as Chicago Bears fans is: do we trust Ryan Poles to make this decision on the next head coach? Because it will impact us for the next 10 years in terms of our success or lack thereof. Darius, do you trust Poles to make this decision? It's a crucial one.
I do. I do. I mean, because he understands, like he's learning on the job as well. He's 3 years. This would be this is year 3 for him, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, in my mind, I think a GM deserves at least 5 years to build a team. You know what I mean? Because everyone lives in this microwave society where things have to be instant. Very few situations where things are instant.
But Darius, real quick, when you're building something, you start a foundation and you start stacking on top of it. But you don't start taking shit off.
Understood.
The Bears are going backwards right now.
Understood.
So that's a problem.
But did he go about it the right way? Absolutely not.
No.
But I still think he has a 5-year window to get this thing right.
Okay, but Brandon, do you think that will result in this Bears team if he's gonna say Darius is right? He's gonna make that choice. He is the guy. He has his 5-year plan. Does it result in success for the Chicago Bears? Do you have faith in Ryan Poles that will be the case?
No, man. And I'm not saying that I'm correct. He could be the guy to find the guy, but do I have faith in it? No. And I'm going to tell you this: this question already has context for the future, guys. Brad Biggs, Kyle read the report today, gave us 4 names that Ryan Poles has apparently already put on a list. And I'm going to be honest, 2 of them I don't love. So that concerns me already. I'm already kind of discouraged a little bit, right? So like,
I don't think you should have your search narrowed down anywhere near at this point.
Either.
You got a lot of work to
narrow it down before it's an open pool.
Yeah. You don't know who's going to be available. You don't know who's going to be available still. There's a lot of things can happen in these next few weeks. So
the Bears should always be open.
I don't like Joe Brady on that list. I don't love Flores. I do like Vrabel. I do like Ben Johnson. I don't know that I love the Bears hiring a rookie head coach, guys. But that list right there, Joe Brady on that list, that means more to me than it probably does the average Bears fan, because that's already a red flag. I don't like that. I don't like his and like you said, Dustin, having a list of finalists already is just a little.
It makes no sense.
What up,
Jay Grizz? Jay Grizz says bear down. Salute to the panel, the chat, and salute to the
What's up,
channel.
Grizz?
Oh yeah. What up, CSP? Everybody watching. Everybody in the chat's been great. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out Serendipity Ice Cream in Griffith, Indiana. We got a bunch of great sponsors. Y'all hear about them all the time. Elite Icons Framing and Memorabilia, El Bandito Yankee Tequila, Chris Chelios's, TC's World of Wonders. Get yourself a nice Caleb Williams jersey because he is the future. I know Judah Tribe is in here and he don't think so, but like that's okay. We all got our differing opinions. It's not the best day to defend Caleb or anything about this Bears team, because this Bears team put total failure on the field yesterday, guys. And that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. Is Ryan Poles the guy to turn this thing around? Because he's the guy that's gotten us where we are right now. That's just not knocking on Poles. It's just the reality of the situation. In this business, you're judged on your results, just like any good business. And right now, Poles' results are not where we want them to be, guys. So how do we want to close this out? Darius, do you think Poles will still be the GM at the end of this season? Do you think it can go bad enough that he gets fired? That's what I'm asking.
I don't think so. Think so.
Okay. And you have faith in him to make this coaching decision too?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Listen, the Eberflus thing was arranged. We all know that. You know, they had this buddy system because they all under the same agent and some shit. You know, like it all messed up. Like I said, I think the mistake he made, he put the bassinet together without reading the fucking instructions. So,
So the baby falls on its head.
yeah, like I said, big mistake, and the baby has fell out. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
no good. That's no
No
good.
good, big mistake. But he has a chance to right this thing, man.
Brandon.
Let's give him this offseason and see what he's gonna do.
Okay. You're gonna give him the offseason. Brandon, you want
Us.
him to have this offseason to make these decisions?
Oh, dude, I like the other question better, man. Yeah.
Go for it. Answer whatever you want.
So I think that he has a possibility of being terminated. I would have told you probably 2 weeks ago, no. But after watching this organization fire a head coach in the middle of the season, I think he absolutely could be if this thing ends the way, well, the way it looked yesterday, the way it's looking. If it ends the way it's looking,
Not a good
I
look.
I don't see how you have faith in polls moving forward.
Listen, man, I'm trying to keep a level head. It's easy to go up and down with these wins and losses, and we've done it all season, and we all had higher expectations for this team. The expectations have been lowered dramatically, and we're just looking for someone that can steer the ship in the right direction and get us moving to where we can be a contending team. Do I think Poles has done good things? Yes, he's obviously done good things. He's made some great trades that have brought us a lot of good talent and a lot of good draft picks. Has he earned the right and the opportunity to make this huge decision of who's the next head coach? I think that's a coin flip, to be honest, man. I don't know. Like,
I don't like answering that.
yeah, it's a tough one to answer, man. Again, trying to keep it in perspective. He's done good.
Pick a side, man. Come on.
Every GM has hits and misses, guys. But when your misses start to add up to what we're seeing on the field for the Chicago Bears, it becomes harder to say I have faith in Ryan Poles. I believe Ryan Poles will be here. I don't believe Ryan Poles is going to be fired. I think they've backed him, and I think they're going to stick with that. And I really hope he can make the right decision, and I really hope he's allowed to do his job. We're talking about he was in an arranged marriage with Matt Eberflus. Well, you already fucked your GM if you did that to him. But then he turns around and he keeps him. Darius, he keeps him. Was he forced to keep him? Then he's not really a GM. He's just a puppet doing what this organization is telling him to do. So then we have no real thing. There's no way to grade Poles, period. If we believe that he's just doing what the organization wants him to do, there's no way to grade him at all. I got to grade him based on what I believe is the case. He was hired to be the GM. I need to see better from Ryan Poles going forward. I think he's going to get that opportunity, and I hope he fucking nails it, and I hope the Bears do their due diligence and they make the right decision, because if they don't, we're going to have another year of talking about this same stuff, guys, and that sounds very boring and very
familiar.
Not fun.
But you know, like the whole thing, the press conference with him and Kevin Warren, if you have to continue to make the statement, we're going to allow Ryan Poles to pick the
to do his job.
You know, like if you got to keep doing it, that lets me know how this.
It's a good point, Darius.
You know, like the higher ups in the organization has had opportunities to neuter all these guys that come in here. You know, we need a guy that can't be neutered, man. You know,
yeah, that's why I want a guy like Vrabel.
Darius, that's like the GM saying it's like Poles hiring a coach and then saying we're going to allow this coach to hire some coaches for himself. Like,
you should probably, right? Because that's the whole process.
Like, that's what you paying them for.
That's what success. Yeah, you hire people that can do this job. You put them in those positions and you let them do their fucking jobs.
Yeah, but you know that kind of resonated with me. If I got to keep hearing this statement that we're going to allow him to hire the coach, like shit.
He got the green light to do his job.
Yeah, like crazy, man.
Guys, we're coming to the end of our show. Again, we appreciate everybody in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment on the video, please. Everybody, we love you all. The show don't mean nothing if y'all aren't in here giving your comments and participating in the show. Darius, anything you want to close out on? I know you don't. You're not. I know we're kind of in disagreement. I'm trying to be in the middle a little bit. But like,
you gotta pick a side, man. You gotta pick a side, man.
I'm trying to stay a little level-headed here. If it were me making the decision, man, I'll just say Ryan Poles might be looking for a job.
But there's nothing wrong with that, bro. It's nothing wrong. Like you feel how you feel. There's nothing wrong with that.
But anything you want to close out on before we get out of here?
Hey man, listen. I'm gonna stay on this yacht as it goes down. You know, I'm holding on, man.
Playing
But
the violin.
yeah, I'm hearing the slow music. But hey, there's no sense of throwing chairs off this yacht, man. It's all going. We all going to the same place pretty soon.
What's up, Debbie Tuttle? Thanks for
So,
joining
but
us, Brandon.
I'm listening. I hope we can finish strong a little bit. These last couple of games. But I'm here for it, man. And whatever we decide to do in the off season, I'm here for that too.
Okay, Brandon.
Yeah, just here's something a little nugget you can wrap your head around, guys. The irony in this. Ryan Poles traded a second-round pick and paid $98 million to a guy who probably gave Matt Eberflus the confidence in keeping his head coaching job. Now Ryan Poles has fired Matt Eberflus, and the guy who got paid $98 million is not making the impact on the game that any of the players paid at his rate are making. So yeah, that's been driving me nuts all day, man. Thinking about that.
Yeah, I said it when they made that trade. Brandon, you remember me and Kyle went at it in text. Yep, I was not on board with it from the beginning, but that's another story for another day, guys. Another story for another day. We appreciate everybody being here, guys. Please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you tune in for Kyle. He's going to be doing a show here in a little bit. Tomorrow we'll have a show for you. Every day of the week we will have content for you from Chicago Sports Podcast. You can find Brandon on 4-Star Chicago Sports. You can find me there as well. We just did a show earlier, the House Hall Hangover. Y'all want to go check that out. Please hit that like button on that. Until next time, everybody, please have a great night. Be safe. Bear down. It's all good, guys. Take it easy.
Peace.